Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here with Brother Bro, and we're back with another predictions video. We're predicting supporting actor and supporting actress for next year's Oscars. Let's start with supporting actor. Now, at number 1, I have Adam Sandler for Jay Kelly. Now, when I heard things about Jay Kelly, it was not only that, the movie's good enough that I'm throwing it up into my predictions. It was that Adam Sandler's the standout of the cast. Seems like an audience hit, seems like a critic hit, okay? Adam Sandler has a really big role here. Seems like he's probably close to a co-lead. Especially from the sort of hint that he is the standout in the cast. Like, if this man can win an Oscar for this film, it's definitely going to get into Best Picture, I think. Oh, what I'm saying is this. If I'm hearing that Adam Sandler's like the standout of a Best Picture movie in a supporting role, it just feels very perfect to me that like he's definitely getting nominated and that he'll be very, very in there and that he might even maybe he could win. I'm not someone who's been trying to like predict Adam Sandler for all these other movies and Uncut Gems, and I start out with a lot of skepticism around this, but I think this is happening this time.
No, it feels like a hope dict, honestly. It does feel like a hope dict to put Adam Sandler at number 1 just because, he hasn't even been nominated yet. Adam Sandler hasn't been in a Best Picture nominee, has he?
No.
So it's really based on that and the fact that, okay, that would probably propel him. I don't want to be too confident in anything. If Jay Kelly's not a Best Picture contender and we're just kind of wrong about that, it's not going to happen. He probably won't even get nominated if that happens.
Of course. I have Jeremy Strong from Deliver Me From Nowhere. So I was considering if this could be Stephen Graham, based on the fact that Stephen Graham is playing his father with schizophrenia, who's a major subject on the album. But Jeremy Strong is
getting like schizophrenia supporting performances.
Jeremy Strong's like his manager or something, and I just heard that people who saw the trailer were like, I guess I really have confidence in like this one tweet that was like, both Jeremys are coming for Oscar nominations, guys. And I was like, okay. Seems like Deliver Me From Nowhere. The trailer convinced people that like, oh, this year's complete unknown. It just is.
I mean, the trailer premiered at CinemaCon. So from those audience members who saw it, like we thought, it's an awards film and both the Jeremys are going to get strong Oscar campaigns. Just given that the film will probably reach that status of like a Best Actor nominee at the very least. If someone else in supporting is really big in it, they would also probably come along. And we saw Jeremy Strong even overcame the barrier of being nominated for a film that was not in Best Picture with The Apprentice. So there's clearly a lot of love for him. I think that seems like a really solid bet for right now. And I have Deliver Me From Nowhere in Best Picture at the moment.
So at number 3, I have Stellan Skarsgård and Sentimental Value. I always eyed this as like, okay, if Sentimental Value is in Best Picture, this is an incredible opportunity to get Stellan Skarsgård his first Oscar nomination. Yeah. The Cannes lineup is out. I've looked at all the movies pretty deeply, and my hunch is that Sentimental Value and Sound of Falling seem like they have the best shot to be the best movies. We never know what's going to happen, but those may very well come out with the strongest buzz. Now, I have been skeptical about Sentimental Value because it's got a lot to live up to, and often directors don't just like hit twice in a row or like, oh, they got close this time and now, yay, like they did it the next time. Like,
I'm forcing myself to put a film into Best Picture from the lineup. This is like objectively, I think, the best bet right now. You have a film that Neon already has.
It's also hotly anticipated.
Yeah, and it's got a cast that United States audiences are familiar with. It already has a pretty high profile, and I think it will definitely be nominated, even if it's not like amazing for the International Feature Award, the Academy Awards.
Unless it's like a Louder Than Bombs. But it is an emotional drama. So it's also like, okay, this movie is the type of thing that gets the performances in, like if it's a contender at all, you just will have acting.
So like the point is, I put Sentimental Value in my 10 because I had to do something from Cannes, and the other films, like sure, there could be something else, but it's harder to tell, right? It's just harder. I do wonder, even if this film was only in International Feature, if maybe he could still get a nomination off of it.
I don't think so at that point. His role is really big and meaty, it seems, as the dad. Like he's got a big role in this. It's even a role that I feel has the potential to win if everything, lines up in the right way for it. Andrew Garfield for After the Hunt. It's hard to say where After the Hunt will fall. It definitely feels like a movie that could be this had Oscar buzz type of thing, like for sure.
I've been getting a little cold feet about After the Hunt, but then I stopped myself and I was like, but I don't have any good reason for it. So I've kept After the Hunt in. I have skimmed parts of the script. I kind of get the tone of the film, and I think it's very intriguing, and the cast alone gives it that awards prestige, obviously Guadagnino being attached, but also that it's not diving into a genre that feels like unsafe for awards, right? Like it's not a sports movie and it's not like a surreal drama. I just don't really have a reason to put it out. Like, could it be, you know, kind of a divisive film that people don't think is amazing? Sure, as could anything, but I feel like it's still a pretty solid bet, and that still gives Andrew Garfield a shot, you know, even if the film's not in Best Picture, I think. That he could be coming along with the ride with her if he's the obvious standout supporting performance.
He has a big role. I think he's got the second
really
biggest role in the movie behind Roberts.
And he plays kind of an asshole in the film, which is different from his sort of typecast as like the trustworthy, like best friend, you know, ever since the Social Network, someone you can feel warm and cozy about who you can put in a romantic comedy. Like, so I think that's a decent bet. Also, like a major caveat, when we look back at the supporting actor predictions that we make early on in the year, they're often like very inaccurate. They just are, because the supporting categories often go along with Best Picture.
There's also often newcomers and people who we didn't know.
If we got 2 out of 5 in each of these categories, that would be like decent. I think if we got 3 out of 5, that would be insane. So let me just prime your expectations right there. But I am doing my damnedest. Now, number 5, there's a lot of ways you can go here. So we got Sean Penn in One Battle After Another. Definitely a contender from what I've heard. And many people have seen this film, okay? Many people. So there is a consensus that he is the standout in the cast, like the most likely to get an Oscar nomination out of any cast member. So if One Battle After Another is a Best Picture nominee, Sean Penn probably comes along. He's playing a Nazi character who kidnaps Leonardo DiCaprio's daughter. He's probably like really fun in it. I think this film seems to be taking a lot of jabs at Nazis and just making fun of white supremacists. And the only reason I wouldn't have him in my top 5 is because I'm getting worried about One Battle After Another. I know Paul Thomas Anderson has great credibility with the Oscars. I know his last 2 films have gotten Best Picture nominees and done really well. That being said, this is new territory for him to go into a sort of like studio blockbuster mode, and it doesn't really look like a blockbuster. So what I think is going to happen with this, and the studio seems to be very hesitant and worried about the financial success of this film, is I think this won't do well at the box office relative to its budget. And that results in 2 things. One is the perception that the film was a sort of failure. Even if it's a good movie, I have no doubt people are going to think it's a good movie. But the perception that it's a failure, along with that not being his best film, not being one of his very best films, I think most people, from what I've heard, are not going to think it's like their favorite PTA film. Maybe it's just another really good one. And the fact that when you don't do super well, like the studio doesn't really go far out of their way to like campaign you for awards. And I know,
is that true?
You know, think about like Furiosa just getting 0 nominations, like totally blanking.
That's not an Oscar movie anyway. That's a sequel. A studio
What
will
about
campaign
In the
a movie
Heights?
because they think that they can get more money out of it if people think it's an awards movie and they'll watch it like on demand.
Give me an example of a film that was considered a bomb that got campaign. Like, I'll say it off the bat. Killers of the Flower Moon. That was considered like not a box office success. That absolutely lost them money. But from the start, that film was positioned for awards more than anything. Apple just wanted their awards film. You know, they almost seemed to like not care if that was going to return a profit because they wanted it to be primarily like a staple of their streaming platform and to signify like their position, you know, as a prestige studio.
I don't think that this movie is going to suffer due to a lack of campaigning alone.
Sure.
There is no world where this movie doesn't have screenings and get out screeners and try to establish itself as an awards campaign. That would be silly if it was just, Warner Brothers is mad that they didn't make money. They're not even going to spend any money on a campaign.
I'm not saying they're going to spend $0 on a campaign, but will they go all out for a movie that feels like it's kind of like a limp horse?
It depends if it's limp or not. Who gives a fuck about the box office when you're talking about a major filmmaker?
It's the combo of box office and this is a good film, but it's not their best film.
That's going to be the factor. When One Battle After Another, relative to most other films that will be in the conversation, be it J. Kelly, Deliver Me From Nowhere, After the Hunt, and Sentimental Value, it will make more money than all of them. People who are involved in movies, who are invested at all in like cinema, will watch this movie for PTA and Leonardo DiCaprio.
Of course.
It will have more chatter. If this movie fails, it's because people like it, but they just don't think it's PTA's best, and that even though it's good, it left them a little disappointed.
Yeah,
and
it's
that feeling
absolutely the combination of those two. Okay, I'll admit.
No, but I'm saying,
what
if the movie was a straight up great and people were having conversations about whether or not it was like top 3 PTA, who cares if it doesn't make?
I agree.
$200 million.
Look, I agree with that. I agree. If it was a slam dunk, if it was like a staple of everyone's best top 10 list, then it would be okay. I'm not confident that the film is going to be this like awards juggernaut. And from the people I've talked to, like even when they really like it, they don't think it's an awards juggernaut. They think maybe it's like, okay, that could get nominated. Maybe it could get a screenplay nomination. But like, I'm also not getting the sense that it's a major craft contender. The nomination ceiling is not super high. And there's only like one prospective acting nomination here, and that is Sean Penn.
Even so, it has a fair shot at getting more nominations than Licorice Pizza. I look at like Interstellar or First Man or Steve Jobs. These are all very good movies. Some of them are great movies but like at the time the buzz was that they are good, but they are not like quite as much as we wanted. And so you can be a very good movie, but if you're not like, you know, if you fall short of expectations, it can still mean that people just have enough of like a sour taste that the whole pie is also sour.
And one battle after another, though, the thing that gets me back in with it is like maybe it probably gets like comedy at Globe, right? And then it gets, probably gets like a Critics' Choice Best Film nomination. But then that could be the end of its run.
So Mark Hamill in The Life of Chuck.
Life of Chuck doesn't feel like it has to get Best Picture.
The problem with Life of Chuck to me, and I was thinking about this, it feels like Air. And you remember how Air was like, oh, well, what can Air get nominated for? I guess editing and supporting actors and screenplay picture, that's enough, right? But sometimes these movies, they just need a bigger package. They need more staples
It can't
to
hold
be
on to that
able
much.
to get into Best Picture. And my problem with Life of Chuck is that if Sentimental Value comes out of Cannes looking like Neon's contender, bye-bye, Chuck. Bye-bye, Chuck. Screenplay only for you, I would say.
I mean, it is a lot like American Fiction, where that also felt like it had a small package, but at least it had like a pretty solid, lead acting nominee in there. The Oscars love a movie that has social commentary. Life of Chuck doesn't have social commentary. It's also coming out in the summer. American Fiction rode its awards hype from TIFF straight into awards season, and it was a little more clean. Life of Chuck is coming out in the summer. It's sort of like a strange time to debut that film to the public, outside of that awards conversation. There's no slam dunk acting nominee. I mean, Mark Hamill, I think he is the most likely to get a nomination here, but he didn't strike me as being, a slam dunk to get nominated. I really didn't think that would be this like an Oscar nominated role when I saw the film. And I would just say if it got into Best Picture, he might come along. Just because it's in Best Picture.
People have Jamie Lee Curtis syndrome. They think that Mark Hamill is Jamie Lee Curtis.
In what?
And that he's gonna, that he's in the movie, maybe does enough to get nominated, but that people want to nominate Mark Hamill so bad.
No, listen,
and
that works. You can't deny that doesn't not work. The point is, he'll get in if Life of Chuck's in. If it's not, he doesn't get in. And I have Life of Chuck. Actually, Life of Chuck and One Battle After Another, I'm kind of similarly flirting with them in my top 10. I'm not really sure if they belong there. The thing that will definitely get me to take Life of Chuck out is if Sentimental Value emerges from Cannes as a guaranteed Best Picture nominee. I will chuck Life of Chuck out of my predictions in an instant. Because Neon having 2 films in Best Picture, when one of them is Life of Chuck, that feels a little far-fetched for me.
When one's coming out in the freaking summer, then
it's clearly one is stronger. I mean, look at what happened with A24. Last year they had Sing Sing, and then they got The Brutalist, and The Brutalist ate Sing Sing. I think it just ate it.
Well, Past Lives got nominated with Zone of Interest.
I know, but
everybody said A24 can't possibly get 2 movies in.
No. That was extraordinary, and the reason was because those were 2 tippity top films of the year. That's why I'm saying, Life of Chuck isn't Past Lives. It's not Zone of Interest.
I think that in order for it to be an Oscar contender as a summer release, it needs to do better than expected at the box office. I will say,
it would have to have
enough people seem to love this movie.
That's the thing. It has a lot of passion.
Some people really love it. It's life affirming to them.
But I could see it, just having a little bit of trouble, becoming that awards prestige film, feeling like it must be nominated.
All right, lest this become another Best Picture prediction video,
which is fine because it's been a while since we predicted Best Picture.
Paul Mescal for Hamnet. I've heard that he does a fucking lot in this movie, crying and probably screaming and all this stuff, and he's Shakespeare. Seems very Oscar bait on paper. I don't believe in Hamnet that strongly. I believe in Jesse Buckley for Hamnet.
Right.
And maybe he could get nominated too. He's probably borderline lead supporting. And if he goes supporting, maybe that he can get nominated too. But I think that if the movie was not in Best Picture and people felt kind of meh about it, it would just be transferred to Jesse Buckley and he wouldn't really receive any.
The thing about Hamnet is I think people will like the movie. Like it'll get strong reviews all around, but it won't get amazing reviews. It won't have like year best status.
Well, could it be Maestro, right?
Maestro was like probably more Oscar bait than this. I just think that, this film sounds too melancholic, too much like Oscar homework, a little bit hard to like pop into that DVD
I wouldn't
player.
say that it's necessarily more Oscar bait. I mean, this is one of the most Oscar bait movies this year. Jonathan Bailey, Wicked for Good. Now, there's a very real chance that Jonathan Bailey, who has a lot of screen time in the second part, but he doesn't have the dancing through life, which maybe, is his highlight throughout the whole movie.
Is it his highlight though, from what people say about
I think it might be. It's like his song. He got SAG nominated.
He might have a larger role in the second film. Very important to consider.
But I think what's important is that maybe this is like something that people can grab onto if they're looking for something, new to nominate about Wicked.
And saying, okay, yeah, he didn't have his time the first time around, but he's better in this film, so let's give him a shot.
Honestly, they will consider Dancing Through Life in his nomination too. I think that they
or like
the whole thing.
He was great the first time around, but he just didn't get his chance. Like, let's make it happen this time.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna go out and predict that right now.
And also, like, the studio has time to gear up an awards campaign for him specifically if they want to do that. Like, knowing that Wicked for Good will be a Best Picture film, they can probably make it happen. They can push his name into the zeitgeist and like get him pretty close. Now, I'm not sure if it works. I'm not sure if he gets
I think
in.
he's still really, really like third place to the other two.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you. I feel like he's still got that uphill battle where he's not gonna be mentioned in the same sentence as the two actresses. So I'm also considering, and I'm not gonna put him in, I'm considering Stavros Halkias for Begonia. My confidence in Begonia as a major awards player has only increased since our initial predictions video. To the point where I go through the craft categories and I'm just sticking it in everywhere. Like, why not? I've also heard a rumor that Focus Features is going to prioritize Begonia over Hamnet. And I think that might become more and more clear to people as award season goes on that like this is their film they're more excited about.
I mean, they presented it at CinemaCon and not Hamnet.
They probably have a whole lot to be excited about. Again, I think people who are skeptical of Begonia, they should watch Save the Green Planet. It's a really good Korean film that you're going to have a blast watching, and it's going to make sense, hopefully to you as well as it did to me, that Yorgos Lanthimos is the right person to take this adaptation on and bring it to a whole new level. Like, I really believe in Begonia. I just do. I don't think it's Kinds of Kindness whatsoever. I think it's very much going to be like Poor Things more than any of his other films.
I don't know if people are going to take the performance that seriously where he gets actual awards chatter.
No, he might just be like the sort of funny character, and he's like the friend, and Begonia is going to be a comedy. So it might not be as serious as like the other performances like Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons. Like, I think Jesse Plemons is the most likely to get a nomination, but he is going to have a major character playing Jesse Plemons' best friend.
He also hasn't really acted in anything very serious up until this point. He's kind of seen as like an online podcaster guy.
He'd have to be like a real standout to...
He'll probably be really funny and get a lot of laughs, but it may not be enough.
I have Miles Catton for Sinners, who I'm considering. Now, let's talk about Sinners.
We have
Listen. We did a video for our patrons where we go into extreme detail about why we actually believe that Sinners will be a Best Picture nominee next year. So you can, get a little plug for the patron membership, right? $2 a month. Miles Catton, I'm actually not sure he would get nominated even if Sinners was a major awards movie.
I think he's too newcomer.
Yeah, he's much of a newcomer, but I've heard he is the standout, and I think he has some scenes where he's singing where he's like very, very good. So, it's maybe possible that he can carry into the awards conversation, but like, young performers just have a hard time getting nominated even when they're excellent. Now, Sinners, why is Sinners an awards film? Like, I know honestly you are like, what are you talking about? That's like inevitably the film that doesn't get nominated from the beginning of the year, like Challengers and Air.
It has better reviews than both of them.
It has
on Rotten Tomatoes. At least.
The reviews are stellar. Like, it has an 100% on Rotten Tomatoes right now with 40 something reviews, 8.8 average rating. That's fucking incredible. There won't be many films this year that have that strong of an average rating or that strong of a tomato meter score. The Metacritic score is also very strong with 83 out of 20 reviews at this moment. So the reviews are as strong as a Best Picture film. Like, there's no if and or buts about it. Now, there are other films that get a lot of acclaim that don't get Oscars, like Challengers. Now, Challengers couldn't even flaunt these sort of reactions or these reviews, right? Like it had a very strong younger people following. It had a really strong Letterboxd score, but it had like an 88 on Rotten Tomatoes.
It also
this is going to have like above a 95.
It also has like a 7.3 or 4 on IMDb. Like most audiences, if you survey like general sample, were not as high on it like as this specific, you know, very Letterboxd film Twitter demographic.
Yeah.
And Challengers, I said it in the members video, that's fun and games. Challengers is fun and games.
This is a prestige film. It's prestige. I know it has vampires in it, I know. But there is no reviewer talking about this film like we're not operating in prestige territory. This isn't an extremely well-crafted film. And many are saying it is Ryan Coogler's magnum opus. That is huge for an awards campaign. We've already seen him go viral talking about the different film projection formats. You know, for him to be seen as a original filmmaker who gets to put out a film into like that large format. Last year, Brady Corbet was that filmmaker. The year before that, it was Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer pushing for that like IMAX 70mm experience. This year, it's Ryan Coogler. And Sinners has a high nomination ceiling. If this were a Best Picture film, it could get about 10 nominations because there are many craft categories that people are saying are exceptional.
But it could get every tech under the sun. This is a period piece from the 30s. You can give it costumes and production design if you want to.
I've heard the cinematography is said to be a standout. The score,
the cinematography is like doing IMAX.
The score is singled out as like maybe one of the very best of the year.
The sound design I'm hearing is spectacular. I'm hearing there's showy editing.
Yeah.
There's even an original song. You know, the original screenplay, perhaps director nomination. Look, my thing is this. This has a social and cultural relevance to it.
Yeah.
Challengers and Air could not say this.
Everything Ever All at Once came out early in the year. Get Out. I think that's a very similar comparison, right? Like a genre film that was studied and taken very seriously, which this will, and also, you know, did well at the box office.
I would even throw The Substance in there.
And The Substance.
It didn't come out early, but it had a lot to overcome.
Yeah, and I think that the reason why The Substance is a horror film made it into Best Picture where other horror films can't is because you have to be socially relevant. You have to be...
And, as you said, a prestigious movie that becomes kind of the chatter of LA.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that Sinners will become one of the more buzzed about movies, you know, among film enthusiasts that comes out all year. I mean, we haven't seen the box office yet. It's probably going to be very good. We haven't seen the audience
the projections for the box office are solid enough right now that if it makes that opening weekend projection, that could be enough to like give it some legs, since the reviews are amazing, and kind of dominate like the conversation of like the best films of the first half of the year.
Oh, it's probably going to win the Astra Mid-Season Award for the best film of the first half of the year.
I get that people are afraid, but because it has been, you know, maybe like 1 or 2 years since a really strong award season contender came out in the beginning of the year. I mean, last year, Dune Part 2, it feels like that really hurt the film.
Yeah, it still got nominated.
We don't have to look back that far to find other examples of films that premiered around this time that did really well and that the Oscars didn't have amnesia for.
But we know what the ingredients are that make a successful movie from the first half of the year.
And it fits the ones that did.
It seems to be checking every box. Seems to be checking every single box.
But again, the box that hasn't checked yet before we get too ahead of ourselves is the box office.
We're not concerned about the box office. It's going to do fine.
Well, no, but if it doesn't do fine, that would change my opinion. And I also believe that given the reviews so far, this will be a top 10er. It will be in the aggregate top 10 for critics. People don't think it's a perfect movie, but you don't often need to be considered a perfect movie to get into like a Best Picture lineup.
All you have to do is be at the forefront of conversation. You have to be one of the most buzzed about movies that's like the most worth talking about and the worth highlighting. Even some reviews so far have said, oh, they should just give this movie awards. Like,
it's Ryan Coogler's best film, right? Everybody says that. He did Black Panther. Black Panther was nominated for Best Film.
No, Black Panther is another great example of an early movie, which also, by the way, we called that before other people did.
And why did this genre film, this superhero film, get into Best Picture? Oh, because it told the story of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and repackaged it in modern day.
All you can say to me is challengers, 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 and I just think it's so different.
Challengers didn't have a lot of nominations to hang on to. I mean, it had, on its best day, it was going to get screenplay, score, song, and editing. That's not huge. Like, there's not a lot above the line there. You know, and it wasn't hitting older voters the same way. I just think this has the stuff. From what I'm hearing, I'm really excited to see it. I'm going to see it on Thursday. And, you know, we'll report back to you in a review what we think about this film's awards chances. If this film does well at the box office, we gotta call it. That's an Oscar movie.
It doesn't matter that much to me that it's a vampire movie when the general chatter around it is that it's so much more. I would say you should look out for an actor from Rental Family. We don't really know these actors very well, but Akira Emoto is, I guess, you know, I'm guessing a grandpa. He has won a Japanese Academy Award. So he could be like the young Jung Yoon of Minari.
Well, where is he in the cast?
He's fourth billed behind this other actor, Takahiro Hira, who's probably playing the dad of the family.
Yeah, and I also have Takahiro Hira in my list.
Yeah, but you should have Akira Emoto higher because I think that old people...
Like the grandparent
roles.
Like in Belfast, it was incredible that both the grandparents got nominated and not the parents.
There you go.
The parents were better.
Grandparents are more likely to be nominated
That's a good point.
than the parents. You've heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, and I've been hearing some good things about Rental Family. Like, there's some good buzz around it. It's going to be one of the better Searchlight films this year. I think it seems like a crowd pleaser bound for TIFF.
I mean, it very well may be Searchlight's movie.
It's the highest Searchlight film in my predictions at the moment. And if it got in, I would definitely see like a supporting actor coming along with it. So we should definitely watch out for a performance there. I have William Macy in Train Dreams. I don't really think this is going to happen, but, you know, I guess if Train Dreams was the best picture movie, it would happen.
That's what it would hinge on. That's pretty unlikely. Ben Foster in the Christy Martin biopic, he is playing a, you know, abusive, manipulative asshole. It could be a pretty big role for him. And, you know, if the movie is a strong Best Actress contender, he could come along. Yeah, you know, maybe it's an Apprentice or a Naiad situation.
Right. I don't know. I'm not that confident in that movie in general. Like, I don't have a great reason to believe it's going to be amazing.
It seems like a meaty role is all I'll say. I would not overlook it.
Look, Michael has fallen out of my predictions, and so I don't have Coleman Domingo in, where I otherwise would have him in if Michael was coming out this year. If we knew it was coming out this year and we knew it was going to be in 2 parts and we knew there weren't like these issues where it's kind of up in the air, I'd probably have Coleman Domingo in.
I'm not even going to have him come out next year. Even if it comes out as part 1, I don't have him in.
I think the point is it's not going to come out as one part this year. It's either going to be part 1 at the end of this year, or it's not, or it's coming out next year.
Even if it came out as part 1, I would say that's such a shit show. Nick Nolte and Die My Love. Now, a lot of people have their hopes up for Robert Pattinson in this movie. I mean, this may be added to Cannes as a late edition. I think it probably will be.
Yeah.
And, you know, that could get people excited about an Oscar campaign, and Jennifer Lawrence is probably going to get a lot of critical praise for the movie. You know, Lynn Ramsey's films are all acclaimed, so...
Why would Nick Nolte, though, be your pick here?
Because he's more of a veteran actor than Robert Pattinson. I know Robert Pattinson...
I feel like this is like lead actress or bust.
Not if it's a contender overall, which I think you need to be a little more open to than you are.
Okay.
If it's one of the most acclaimed films, if it wins the Palm, like...
No, it's just I just really don't think so because it seems so dark and so bleak.
Yeah, but people have said that all the roles are juicy.
I'm sure the performances will be great.
So Robert Pattinson probably has more screen time, but, you know, Nick Nolte is, you know, a previously nominated actor. And I know a lot of people think of Robert Pattinson as being very overdue, but I'm not sure the Academy looks at him like quite the same way.
No. I mean, he'll be probably more of a lead, right?
Well, he could be supporting too.
Okay, well, I just don't believe that anyone else except for Jennifer Lawrence is going to have a shot here.
What about Jeremy Pope for the collaboration? Should we give up on this? Because we had him in last year at some point.
I don't know why the collaboration keeps getting delayed, and it definitely worries me that they just don't think it's good and they don't know what to do with it.
How about Jeffrey Wright in Highest to Lowest?
Highest to Lowest is not going to be good because Cannes snubbed it from the competition, which was an obvious signal of rejection that they didn't think it was good enough for competition.
What about Brendan Fraser for Pressure? He's playing Dwight D. Eisenhower. If that movie is Oscar bait,
maybe.
If that movie is Oscar bait, that could definitely happen, I think.
I have Woody Harrelson for Ella McKay. I think he plays like the stuffy politician who she's trying to unseat. I think that's fair to have in the list. Josh O'Connor, The History of Sound. I don't know. I've heard that The History of Sound's like not amazing.
Yeah, even though it showed up in competition, I'm not sure that it's going to be like an Oscar contender. Some people seem to think, oh, well, this seems like obvious Oscar bait, no brainer, but I don't think that's what we're in for here. I don't think so.
Jacob Elordi and Frankenstein. I mean, look, Frankenstein's definitely an award, at least getting close to Best Picture. Getting nominated for playing the monster would be pretty unconventional, so I don't expect this to happen, but I'll just have him in the list. I have Lewis Pullman for Ann Lee, who I don't think would happen. I feel like he's not a big enough name.
Oh, he's
if
going to
An
be
Lee was
big.
gonna
He's going to be big by the end of the year.
Well, he'll be big in An Lee, but I'm not sure he's a big
No,
enough
he's
actor.
in Thunderbolts too. He could be really good. Yeah, I do agree though. Like he's probably not going to get nominated. I mean, Christopher Abbott's in it too, but Louis Pullman has a bigger
I think he's the bigger
billing. I think.
You know, somebody in the Catherine Bigelow political thriller, I think is fair to say. I have Idris Elba in here tentatively, but I think would probably be a lead, right? I mean,
Might
he's
be a lead.
Idris Elba. He's probably a lead.
I have Sean Bean for Anemone. That's the only other
Sean
person.
Bean. Okay. We could talk about Pedro Pascal in Eddington, since I think he'll be campaign supporting, but it actually sounds like there's kind of a dual lead thing going on between Joaquin Phoenix's character and Pedro Pascal's character. But Eddington, you know, they had a teaser drop today. There's a poster now. We know it's a dark comedy. We know it parallels modern political times. I think it's going to be a hoot. It's going to be awesome, but it's not going to be awards friendly. That is my prediction for Eddington. Let's move on to supporting actress. Now, I have at number one what I think is pretty much not quite a guarantee, but like pretty solidly in there. You shouldn't have her out. Ariana Grande for Wicked for Good. I think she gets nominated again for this. I don't think it's going to be that hard to do for her. I've heard some people suspecting the category placement's going to flip. No. I don't see a good reason to think that. Yeah.
Who thinks that?
A couple people think about it.
Oh, silly.
What was working against her last year was that it was her first Oscar nomination. And if it wasn't, there's a good question to be raised about if Amelia Perez didn't exist, could this have been the performance that takes the Oscar? And I would probably be inclined to say, yeah, she would have taken an Oscar for it if Amelia Perez didn't exist. For her second time around for the movie, where I'm sure she'll be a huge standout, she's going to get her own original song.
Yeah,
Why couldn't she win for it?
That's probably not going to be a popular.
Supporting actress in a musical winning the Oscar has been a pretty strong trend.
That's true.
Especially when you're in Best Picture, you know? So I think this should be your number one. It just should be.
That's why Thomas and Mackenzie's going to win the Oscar for Ann Lee, and she's going to stop her in her tracks, huh?
Oh, that'd be interesting.
I mean, you're right, like, supporting actress in a musical, and she doesn't have another musical actress, seemingly, to stop her. I do think that there's not a good reason to think that the Wicked actresses won't get nominated. I mean,
No,
they'll
there's
probably
not a good
treat
reason.
them like they treat a TV show where they nominate the same people over and over, and they'll be fine with it.
I mean, could they get not nominated? Could people say, oh, Wicked for Good's not quite as good as Wicked number one, so we'll barely squeeze it into there to the Best Picture 10, but we'll kind of like snub it in a few categories? Sure, that could happen, but I don't have a good reason to like do that, right? Especially not her in this category.
Angelina Looking Glass for the Rivals of Mziah King. I think she's going to come along with this movie. Most people are really hot on this performance. They think she's a huge standout, a great casting choice, and by the way, that she will get this movie a casting nomination, I think, because I'm assuming that they will like newcomers and they will like, you know, the casting call process,
Maybe.
perhaps.
I think a lot of people are like, what is the Rivals of Mziah King? Because in Award Expert, 23% of people, that's just 1 in 4 people, have this in their top 10. Maybe we need a little bit of a talk about what this movie is. Now, who's going to acquire it? Apparently, they're asking for a very high price for this film. It's got a high price tag, and that's the main reason why it has not been bought out of South by Southwest. Now, I think this is totally fair for them to hold their cards and, you know, try to play them again maybe at like the fall festivals, where I think if this thing goes to TIFF, it could really prove to be a formidable force in the award season race, because people love this thing. Some people don't like this thing. They're like, what the heck? Well, I'm sad that I didn't love the second half as much as I love the first half. I've seen a lot of those reactions, but for every one of those reactions, there's another that's like, that's one of my favorite movies this year. This movie has a high nomination ceiling. Not only does it have 2 actors in contention with Matthew McConaughey in Best Actor, it has score, editing, song, cinematography, even directing and screenplay. I think those are very
absolutely
likely to come along as a package for this film, and I could see this being a film that generates a lot of enthusiasm from awards voters. Enthusiasm is so important. So even though you have mixed reviews, right? Even though you have mixed reviews, you have that strong number one passion.
Oh, and it's very cinematic and original, and it's going to invigorate people about cinema. Amelia Perez was nothing but, I guess, like cinematic loud weirdness, the enthusiasm for just, whoa, this is so damn different. Like, you saw what Academy members said about it. Like, that's what they like to see. I am confident that this movie, as long as it has a major distributor, is going to get in.
Letterboxd is fucking weird, though.
Who gives a fuck? Literally,
weird.
who cares? It's still really good. It's still really good. It's still really good. There are more 10s than 7s, okay?
I'd like to see it have less negatives, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm still going to have it in. I have it very high, actually. I have it in my top 5.
Oh, it's a crowd pleaser, though, so I don't care if...
But look, if this movie is in Best Picture, she's definitely getting in. She has the lion's share of the praise, I would even say. As a co-lead to Matthew McConaughey, she will probably be campaigning and supporting, even though maybe she could go as actress. I actually heard that she's more quiet in, like, the first half of the film. And in the second half, and especially the third act, she really comes to shine. You know, I just heard a lot of shout outs about this performance, especially from people who love it. They seem very passionate about her performance in this. So that's one that I can see people getting really excited about, like a newcomer, a great find.
There's going to be newcomers in the supporting categories. As far as I can tell, it's like a her, and then there's people from Rental Family. Like, I do not know anybody else.
I actually might have at number 2, instead of Angela Lookingglass, Gwyneth Paltrow for Marty Supreme.
That's very speculative.
Why?
Because although we do have a description of her character, and like we had an article that was kind of like hyping her up in the movie already.
Yeah.
Already at a puff piece.
Trying to position her.
We still don't know what kind of role she has. We still don't know how much
She's
screen
playing
time
the
she
older
has.
woman that Timothy has sex with.
What if she's in 10 minutes of the movie?
I think even if she weren't in a ton of the movie, she would still be like the standout supporting performance among the entire cast. And
I kind of agree.
She's already won an Oscar. She hasn't been in a film for a long time. People love when you take a hiatus and then you come back to movies and then you're actually good.
She has a great narrative.
And I think the role will be very fun for her.
I think so.
So I think this is like a solid bet. And again, Marty Supreme's one of those films where like, why would you doubt it? I think it's bigger than Uncut Gems. Like, I just think it's bigger than that. A24 is betting hard on this movie. They are going all in.
They got their chips on it. They got a big budget on it. They got a
Christmas
release date on it.
They got a Christmas release. This is their juggernaut this year. This is their awards film. If it doesn't work, that sucks.
I believe in Marty Supreme, and I think Gwyneth Paltrow makes a lot of sense at this moment.
Yep.
As far as we know, I mean, look, maybe it's Fran Drescher. Okay, and she gets a SAG nomination.
I think it's probably Gwyneth Paltrow.
Laura Dern for Jay Kelly. I heard that she is great. I didn't want to predict her initially because I was like, okay, like you're doing Marriage Story again, like, but you know, that might be what it is. Like, it might just be again.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a shout out of her performance that she's a standout. So
yeah,
I'm
that's
thinking,
all I need.
I'm thinking Jay Kelly is going to be big for acting nominations, and she seems like she's the standout supporting actress, and that's what I'm going off of right now, okay?
Iowa Debery for After the Hunt. Now, I have heard some people a little skeptical because maybe they say, oh, she's actually not in it that much.
Well, no, she's in it a lot, but she's more like present, and I think in the first half from the script, and then she's more of like a character who is kind of talked about. Again, I haven't read the script personally, just skimmed around it a little bit. I still think there might be enough for her where she could get a nomination if the film is in Best Picture, but I don't think she would get a nomination if the film was just like an acting player where, you know, maybe Andrew Garfield and Julia Roberts are still contenders, but maybe she would have to sit it out if it wasn't in Best Picture. Even if a Debery has like 2 scenes where she's absolutely on fire, I don't even think the screen time would matter that much. She's so recognizable, so beloved from her roles in TV. I think she's just a brilliant performer. Just the way that she can do comedy and drama is like astonishing.
I agree that she's going to make a big impression with her screen time. That's what it feels like to me.
Beyond that, we kind of said this earlier, that Rental Family, if that's an awards movie, we would have maybe a supporting actress in there.
Marie Yamamoto's the one.
I have that one in as well. I have Thomas and Mackenzie and Ann Lee. Ann Lee I'm really looking out for. I'm not sure if it's going to be like a what the fuck movie, in which case like maybe it would polarize audiences, maybe it wouldn't be a Best Picture breakout, but I can't even help but have Amanda Seyfried in my top 5 for Best Actress at the moment.
Yeah, you can, because you have Rhinesva in now, don't you?
Maybe actually, yeah. But I can't help but consider the performances in this movie, especially given that it seems like it's at least in part a musical.
Also, Thomas and Mackenzie is second billed, and what do we know about supporting actresses in musical? Once again, I mean, I think that this is a lead performance-focused movie, but still, like, that's a good stat to go off of for her.
Yeah. I have Greta Lee in Late Fame. I really have my eye on Late Fame as a potential breakout, especially for acting categories like Willem Dafoe in the lead role. Greta Lee is the second build in this film. She seems to play his muse. I'm just gonna guess this is a supporting performance and not a lead performance, and it seems like it will be meaty. I mean, I wonder if both her and Willem Dafoe could go along. I wonder if this could get a screenplay nomination. Definitely looking out for that performance. Really excited to see what she can do.
I think we have to consider Jennifer Lopez for Kiss of the Spider Woman as a lone nomination for the film. Again, we're talking about supporting actresses in musicals. We've seen Kiss of the Spider Woman. I have talked to some people, like Brian Rowe, came out of this movie, and he was like, give her the Oscar nomination. He's like really excited for her to get the first nomination. I did not see the movie this way. I know other people who are totally on his side. I thought that the performance to me was just so much dancing and singing, and I'm kind of like,
It's only dancing and singing.
it's pretty much only dancing.
There's no moment where she's not singing or dancing.
I mean, look, there's still performance in that.
You know,
And it just depends on how you want to look at it and how you want to judge it. Like,
I think it matters if you're a
you-
musical theater fan, because if you like drink in dancing and just like that kind of energy that you exude, I think that's going to be your thing. That performance will be your thing. From my personal vantage point, I was like, oh, well, that character never comes down to earth. Like, she never stops being this like sort of image, and I needed more to like connect with her.
Well, I don't think that she needs more necessarily for the movie, but for me, like if I was a voter,
Yeah.
I would say, you know, if we're going to give you an acting nomination,
Right. I would want to
I'm
see-
going to want to see like, I guess, some more acting. You know, that's
well,
how I look at it. I know it's
I would
maybe
just
wrong,
want, yeah, I would want her to not just be singing and dancing the whole time.
like Hustlers was, you know, that was acting. That was a lot of acting.
Also, I feel like we
chops.
know she can dance, and we know she can sing.
That's what I'm saying. We know that she can do that. She's been praised for it before.
I don't believe this is going to happen.
Kiss
I
of the
strongly
Spider-Woman
don't
has
think
planted
so.
an October 11th release date.
It won't even do it well at the box office. I don't care. I know they're going to try, and
won't.
it's their best bet to attempt to do it and do an award season campaign and everything. And
They're
a release
trying.
date, but I don't think it's going to catch on.
Oh, does it matter to
I
you
don't think
that-
people will care about the movie that
Does it
much.
matter to you that they're trying?
No. It doesn't matter to me that they're trying.
Wow.
I vehemently see it as a 0 nomination movie.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Rebecca Ferguson for the Catherine Bigelow film.
Sure.
I just want to say, like, I feel like Rebecca Ferguson, this is a good role for her.
She could be lead too, though.
Maybe. It just could be a good role for her.
I have-
You could say the same about Greta Lee. Even.
Yeah, I have Greta Lee in like next, like right next to her, just because we don't really know who might be lead or supporting. Glenn Close for Wake Up Dead Man and Knives Out Mystery. I totally think we should consider this. Absolutely. I mean, I could even see it being like she doesn't really seem to have a whole lot of momentum, and then the industry is like, guys, it's Glenn Close. Like, we got to do it. And then SAG
And then
does
she
it.
fails the Oscar.
Maybe SAG does it. Maybe BAFTA does it.
And then she fails to get the Oscar.
But also, like, the Critics' Choice love the Knives Out movies. Like, maybe they would, nominate her as well. I think she will be the supporting play in the film. The biggest supporting play thus far was Janelle Monáe in the sequel. And that was a harder sell, probably, because she's never been nominated, right? I think Glenn Close is actually going to get closer to a nomination than Janelle Monáe did. But again, we don't really know, like, what her role is in the
no,
film.
that's the thing. It's like she could be what Jamie Lee Curtis was in the first film. She could just be
Sure.
a fun, like, not the third biggest character role. Like, that's probably what's most likely.
I feel like they know what they're doing when they cast Glenn Close, and, like, it's going to be really fun.
Yeah, I know, but it can be fun.
Because she's bigger than both the actresses you just mentioned.
I
She's huge.
don't care. I'm saying it can be fun, and it can also just not have the meat or the screen time or the depth.
Sure, but I'm really, like, she's definitely in my top 10. I know that this will be campaigned. I'll just say that. Why wouldn't it? It's easy. Netflix will campaign this movie for screenplay and supporting actress.
And it didn't work for the last one. But listen,
Well, it got screenplay.
We're just gonna put Glenn Close through the whole, getting nominated and not winning cycle again.
Well, they seem to be happy to do it, even with Hillbilly Elegy.
I mean, maybe Ryan Johnson is trying to get her an Oscar nomination. He's like, I want to give. He could probably do it if he wanted to. He'd just say, I
Right.
want to give Glenn Close an Oscar nomination. Just writes the right role for it.
I'll put this at number 6.
Hey,
Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I? Why not?
You're taking the bait. That's what you're doing.
I'll take the bait just like SAG will take the bait.
SAG will take the bait.
SAG will take the bait,
They might
too.
take the bait.
There you go. Why not? If Meryl Streep was in the next Knives Out movie, you'd probably have her up there too.
I would have her in the same place.
And she should be in your top 10.
You got to talk about Teyana Taylor for One Battle After Another because
we have to talk about both
I
for
don't
One Battle
even
After
have
Another.
Regina Hall in my list because of what I've heard about how she just doesn't have enough screen time. She doesn't have enough that it's even like close. Whereas Teyana Taylor, it seems to me that people thought that in the first third she's in it a lot, and from that alone, like if she kept going with that throughout the movie, maybe she could have been nominated, but she's not in the rest of the movie enough.
Right. No one's been calling out the supporting actress performances in this film so far as potential awards players. Like, I think no one really has confidence that they would make it in. The award expert community seems quite confused about this. I would strongly caution you that no supporting actress will probably make it in. I just have heard that there's not quite enough there.
What about Elle Fanning for Sentimental Value?
Yeah, it's possible, but she's playing like the American actress. I'm not sure she'll have like a huge role. And there's actually another supporting actress in Sentimental Value that will have more screen time, who plays Renata Rimes' sister.
That's true.
And I have her in the list, but I don't really know where to put her.
She's second billed on TMDb.
Yeah,
That's
she's
pretty
going to
good.
have a really big role.
She's in the first image they released.
Yes, she's going to have a really big role in it. She's definitely worth putting in your list. She might just not be well known enough to get nominated, though, at the end of the day. But I think she might get critics' recognition. To sentimental value is really something.
Or she's Marina de Tavira.
Yeah, but I also have Elle Fanning in my list.
Alicia Silverstone for Begonia. I think she plays Jesse Plemons' mom, who's like in the hospital the whole movie. It's kind of weird that she's not that much older than him in real life, but looking past that, I don't see her as having like a ton of screen time. I suppose that she could be really, really good in a couple scenes, but Fala Chen for The Ballad of a Small Player.
The Ballad of a Small Player might get some nominations. Like, even if it's not in Best Film, the next Edward Berger film probably gets something, right?
Yeah, it's lone
Maybe
best
it gets-
actor or bust, by the way.
Maybe it gets Best Actor, maybe it gets Best Supporting Actress, or maybe
It probably
it gets both.
wouldn't get the supporting
Maybe it
actress
gets
unless it was
screenplay.
unless it's in Best Picture. I don't think
Maybe
so.
it gets close. You know, either way, I think it does have a shot at Best Picture.
It seems like Fala Chen is the bigger role than Tilda Swinton based on, what the book is and everything. Tilda Swinton might be worth having the list because she might stand out more even if she has less screen time.
Yeah.
Because she's Tilda Swinton. That's what she does.
Yeah. I got Jamie Lee Curtis and Ella McKay. She has a
Sure.
really big role in that. Maybe Ella McKay, it's appearing in a lot of my predictions like low. Maybe it'll just rocket up there and just be a big awards movie.
Emily Blunt in The Smashing Machine. I do not believe I've heard enough things where The Smashing Machine is no.
Yeah, everything I've heard about Smashing Machine from like the little test screening reactions is like, that's not an awards film. It's shot like The Curse. I just don't think that's gonna happen. And she's actually in the top 5 in Award Expert right now. No, she's number 6. I guess it's a good guess, but like The Smashing Machine just sounds like it's not going anywhere.
America Ferrera for The Lost Bus. Meh. Amy Adams for Clara in the Sun. Meh. That's just her Dear Evan Hansen role or whatever.
I have Samantha Morton in Anemone. She's the second top to Daniel Day-Lewis.
Maybe.
You may as well have her, and she'll probably be fantastic, but Daniel Day-Lewis might just like steal it.
Emily Watson in Hamnet makes sense on paper, but from what I've heard, it's really the Paul Mescal, Jesse Buckley show here. So I'm not sure she's going to be getting, that nomination. And Sissy Spacek for Die My Love. She's probably Jennifer Lawrence's mom. That could be a great role for her. It would be an excellent comeback role for Sissy Spacek. Here's the one thing I will say about Die My Love. It has good narratives for 4 actors. That's what I will say about it.
That's what you could say about Mother. And I think it's going to be like Mother.
That's what you could say about Mother. Yeah, I guess it is.
I literally think it's going to be like Mother.
It's probably Mother.
It's Mother.
Sonia Jin for No Other Choice is the only other person I have on my list, just in case No Other Choice is a thing and it actually gets acting nominations.
I would love to believe that a actress from Mother Mary can get nominated, but
Michaela Cole's not happening.
no one's happening from Mother Mary because that film is allegedly a mess. And even David Lowery said that he's in the editing process and that he doesn't really know what the film is. And that's like not a good sign. I've heard other reactions that it's just like not there. So I would be very, very cautious with Mother Mary, even though I'm very excited to see it.
Do you want to try to call somebody in Sound of Falling as a possible contender? Because this is kind of, sounds like an ensemble movie. 4 girls in 4 different decades grow up on a rural farm, whatever.
Here's my answer. No, I'm not going to try that because it's, like you said, it's an ensemble movie, and also the cast seems like relatively young.
It doesn't seem likely, but you could put them on the list because if that movie's a Best Picture player, then you'll probably have to consider them. And I'm not calling anybody from Phoenician Scheme. Sorry,
Hell
no
no.
Michael Cera, no
no.
nobody. And those are our supporting predictions. Stay tuned for updated predictions before Cannes. Maybe we'll just like really quickly go through all the categories and try not to spend for damn ever. That's the problem with the predictions. They take too long to do everything.
You think they have a problem that your predictions videos take a long time?
I have a
they
problem
love
because
it.
they take too long to edit.
What else do they have to do besides listen to us banter and ramble?
No one has anything better to do than to listen to us.
Reminder to update your predictions in Award Expert. You gotta go on the record. You gotta be the first to call it. If you think something's happening, show us the receipts that you were the first there. Award Expert lets you track your history, and it gives you a log every single day so that you can go back in time and see what you've been doing. Also, a reminder that Award Expert Plus, I'm now offering a way to support the project, which I am growing and working on pretty much every single day. And that is with getting the Award Expert Plus tier, which offers some additional features, including the ability to create your own custom lists get your own custom categories in there and get creative. It also gives you a tally of how many nominations am I predicting for Wicked for Good? How many wins am I predicting for Marty Supreme? Like, you can see all of that. You get a little more insight in your predictions, and mainly, it's just a way to help me do this project as I try to grow it. And if you have any feedback that you'd like to offer on your trial of Award Expert Plus, feel free to send an email to justin@oscarexpert.com, and I will surely give you a reply. I'm actually working hard to transform Award Expert into a place where you can have conversations and discussions about awards, make comments on your predictions, make those comments go public, put them into a feed. This is the future of awards app that I've made.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing.
Do you think we're insane for talking up sinners?